This story happened when I was 12 years old. I'm a female, and I'm now 25. The story I'm about to tell you might not be scary to most, but for me and my parents, it was. I remember it was a Saturday night, around 9 or 10 p.m, during the summertime. I owned one dog at the time, and his name was Benny. My parents decided that night they felt like going for a walk around the block with him, and asked me whether or not I wanted to join them. I said no, because I wanted to play PWI on my PC. That's Perfect World International. My parents were okay with leaving me alone, since the walk wouldn't take longer than 30 minutes tops. As my parents were getting dressed to leave the house, I logged into PWI and looked around in my guild and global chat to see if anyone was on. For some reason, no one was, so I decided to join my parents. I get dressed, I put Benny on his leash, and we all leave. I'd like to mention that I live in an apartment building that had 10 floors. We lived on the very first floor. Not sure how to explain it, but you have the basement of the building, and then you have the first row of apartments. Basically, you enter the first building, and you're already facing 2 apartments. I lived in the very first one. I remember always hating that because whoever would pass by our door, we would hear them, at any time, day or night. Whoever was lurking at night, we could hear them. It was somewhat eerie to live on floor 0. Anyway, we leave the house, and my dad closes the door. We had 3 keyholes and steel bars that would block the door from the inside. The bar covered half of the door. Precautions were my father's obsession. We exit the building and enjoy our walk. After 15 minutes, we realized that the wind had changed from warm summer wind to incoming storm wind. My mum makes a call to go back home, as Ben has already done his duties, so we all return. We open the building door, climb the 5 steps to go to our door, and attempt to open it. My father does the following: unlocks the first 3 locks, and then attempts to unlock the metal bar that holds the door locked. At that moment, my father pauses, turns around at us with the most serious face I've ever seen on him, and whispers for us to call the police and ring the neighbour's door. My mum goes to the second apartment, and the neighbour, who I'll call Ted, comes out asking my father what happened. My dad whispers to him, covering the see-through hole in the door. Someone's in our house. He or they are holding the door. Please stay here with my family, and I'll attempt to open it. I'll be back. After saying that, I see my father rush, all by himself, around the building, in the dark. I say dark because we didn't have a streetlight on the side of our apartment, facing the garden block. My dad disappears into the darkness, and I go outside too, not following too much, but only to hear if he's in trouble. He's my dad, don't judge me. As soon as I get out, I hear him shout, "Hey, you come back. Who the hell do you think you are? I called the police." At the same time I hear him shout, I look at Ted, who manages to open the door and enter the house. I go after them and enter my house. It no longer felt like my house. In just 15 minutes, while we were out walking, the home invaders made a complete mess of our house. All of our shelves and wardrobes were pulled out, our clothes scattered all over the house. Benny's dry food was all over the floor, indicating that they must have tripped in his bowls, probably not knowing that we owned a dog. But what scares me the most was how organized they were. I say they, because after seeing the disaster that was left behind, we knew it was impossible for just one person to hold the door, steal and organize what they wanted to take with them. I say organized because the thieves put in our living room, all packed and ready, what they wanted but couldn't steal. On the couch they placed our laptops, one of our TVs, my father's collection of coins, our phone chargers, our phones, wallets, and even my father's camera. He's a photographer. They didn't have enough time to steal all of that, so they just settled with some of my mum's jewellery and some pocket money. After seeing this, in my silly child mind, I rushed back to my room to check my piggy bank. I always saved up money from the chores I did. It wasn't much, but it was my work and savings, and at that time I thought they'd stole it too. When I entered my room, I see metal bars covering my windows are cut open and my window broken. This is how they entered. Through my room. My room is the only room facing the side of the building, and one of the most secluded from views. Needless to say, I never felt safe in my own room, which I had to live there for the next 10 years of my life, until I moved in with my fiancée. The police arrive and start throwing white dust, I have no idea what that is, still, all over the house to find fingerprints. They take pictures, take our statements, analyze my room and window. They were unable to catch the home invaders, but were able to tell us this home invasion was not the only one in our neighborhood. During that month, another 4 houses were broken into, one of them being the home of a cop, not related with the cops at our home though. They told us that the invaders analyzed their victims, learned their schedule, even knew where the children's rooms were, and they seemed to be entering the houses through the children's windows. All of the families affected by them had children. They did not expect us to be back so soon and panicked, hence one of them was holding the door with his body so that the others could flee. The person after which my dad was shouting at was probably the one holding the door and escaping last through the broken window. I didn't or don't want to know what could have happened if I didn't change my mind and give up on raiding for years in PWI. I would probably have come face to face with these invaders. I'm happy I didn't, and I hope to God I never meet with them, ever again. Period.